Okay, we're talking about birthdays and a very common result of birthdays, which is that moment where you sit by yourself and you're like, huh, what have I done this entire year? And you go through your year and you're like, I have done nothing. When in reality, it's not true. You have done something. You have achieved something. It's not possible for you to not have accomplished anything in this span of like the 365 days that you have grown, right? It's that, well, a lot of our accomplishments, well, we forget them. And as a result, we're like, well, I haven't done anything. And I faced the same kind of issue. I have been facing the same kind of issue. And I came to myself and I was like, what could be a solution? Or perhaps maybe an interesting experiment, I guess you could do. I mean, I am all about for doing experiments and more so doing stupid things, but then calling them experiments. Yeah, that makes more sense. So I was like, what could be an interesting idea? I was like, instead of thinking about that, right? Instead of thinking about how I'm feeling I haven't done anything in the past year, what about I come up with an idea as if I could waste time without enduring eternity? So, what I came up with was this idea of this list. Okay, imagine a list that has as many headings, as many rows as your age. So, for example, if you're 20 years old, the list has 20 rows. If you're 50 years, it has 50 rows. And on that list, you should add all your greatest accomplishments of that year. Now, greatest accomplishment sounds huge, sounds dramatic. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I made a company, my company, did this, and I have ended world poverty. It doesn't need to be like that, okay? The great accomplishments of someone's year might be just watching a movie. I watched this movie, I enjoyed it, it made me think a lot. Or even thinking, I thought about this subject and I came to a conclusion. That's a great achievement. So you fill those in. And then why is it that the rows aren't like kind of a, what you call it, fixed number? Why isn't it like, okay, for every year you need to write down like 100? First of all, because 100 is cruel. And I mean, it would have been fun to attempt it, but there would have, if I had it at 100, I would have written pretty much everything on it. I'd be like, oh, I had dinner tonight. That was a great accomplishment. I mean, for some countries it is, but I don't want to think about it, okay? I don't want to think about that. So that's the reason, you don't want to encourage cheating, which is funny, considering I'm making this for myself. But yeah. So yeah, the point is, as I said, this is kind of an experiment, and I want to do this. I want to do this, and I feel like it provides you with some kind of data, and I like data. So, the idea is as I grow up, I have more things to do and I can do more grand things. I mean, so I have been told. I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, who knows? Again, I don't want to think about that. So, I mean, it only makes sense that as you grow up, you will have more things that you can fill. And it's like, who cares what I'm filling in the list, right? So that goes to my another point. So if you're 20 and you have, written down all your accomplishments as they happened, and it's like only the half of the year, and you come up with another great accomplishments because you're so fucking awesome. Well, what do I do now? You now go through the list, you cross out the least awesome of the bunch, and then you replace it with the newer accomplishment, the one that you care most about it. As you grow up, you don't have to really worry about it that much. And it gives you a sense of calm and movement, I guess, a sense of fluidity that I've heard people say they have lost when, they've been growing old. Everything feels kind of stuck, everything goes kind of like that. And even if no one's going to do this, I feel like it's still kind of fun idea to think about it. I'm doing it, you know. It's a fun thing, right? And the final goal of that is that when, on your birthday, when you're sitting alone to yourself at night Instead of thinking, what have I done? You're going, wow, I've done a lot. And, I feel like it's going to be interesting, to go through the analytics of that. What are my accomplishments in the fields of, how many of these are there? And on this scale of what I would like myself to be, how grand are these accomplishments? And that's pretty much it. And the internet is a weird place to say goodbye.